Okay, so we're talking about Venus in the fifth house. So in general, Venus in the fifth house shows us somebody who gets a lot of pleasure out of playing and playfulness, and is somebody that really has like a childlike sense to them. You know, there's an innocence, there's a kind of wanting to enjoy life and wanting to play, and their humour, or the way that they kind of play, the way they enjoy themselves, there might be this kind of innocent quality to it. It's almost like quite endearing when they really like let their guard down. Obviously it depends what sign it's in and how it's aspected, because this doesn't necessarily make it a comfortable placement just because it's in the fifth house. It depends very much on how it's aspected. But in general, this is somebody who has like a nice childlike sweet quality to them, and somebody who really is in love with the idea of being in love, loves romance, and really takes a lot of pleasure in that, and can be very fun in romance and in dating situations. This could be somebody who, you know, was one of those kids in school that had like lots of boyfriends and girlfriends at the age of like 8 years old, you know, like started young, you know, had an interest in the opposite sex at a young age. Generally, this can make you quite attractive as well to the opposite sex. And, you know, it's one of those ones, depending on how it's aspected. If it's well aspected, then these things will definitely come out. If you've got something like Saturn squaring Venus, Saturn's very restrictive and it's not about pleasure, and Venus is about pleasure. So say you've got a Saturn square your Venus in your fifth house, this can actually mean, it can push that pleasure-seeking nature underground a little bit. And so although you'll desire romance in your heart of hearts and you want to be able to open up and have that fun, there'll be some cautiousness and a guardedness. There might be some defenses and boundaries and walls that you put up so that you don't get it as readily. So it always depends how Venus is aspected. Venus here also speaks to somebody who is creatively gifted, probably in quite a few ways. This is the actor, the performer, it can be the artist, I mean anything really creative. Someone here could have like a lot of creative hobbies, or get a lot of pleasure out of their hobbies, their creative hobbies. And certainly if it's a great way to balance out the personality, and it's important for these individuals that they pour their energy into something creative, just to get a nice sense of fulfillment and pleasure out of life. Children can also be something that really open up the heart and that bring a lot of enjoyment, and this can make you a really gifted teacher, you know, especially with young kids. You might find that you just connect with them, and your playfulness it resonates with them. So all in all, you know, this is a nice placement, but it does depend very much on the sign. I also have seen this play out as people who maybe have Venus maybe kind of quite harshly aspected, but in the fifth house. I see them attracting creative types a lot. You know, if they're closed off to that creative side of themselves, and if they've maybe shut down their heart a little bit, they tend to attract quite creative, fun-loving types, almost as a way to open them up again and remind them of who they are, and remind them that actually this is something that exists within them that they haven't been bringing forward. So it can also work out in that way as well.